Our next panel, we got another guy who's been speaking at quite a few Sales Hacker conferences, and if you read his first book, Predictable Revenue, you'll see why. But he's got another one coming out called From Impossible to Inevitable with his co-author Jason Lemkin, who runs the SaaStr blog and the SaaStr Annual with us. That's in February, 3-day conference. So if you're in SaaS, definitely check that out. He's on 7 kids, going on 12. We've actually had a couple of them speak on stage with him at the conferences. Please welcome Aaron Ross.
What does he say? There's people's kids here today? Are there kids here today? There should be. So, can you all hear me all right? Now, I've got the privilege of introducing my panel co-somethings. So let me start here with Mr. Brian Walton. Come on up. The price is right. So now, Brian, I have a fun fact for each of these guys. So mine is about kids. So Brian, actually, his fun fact, before I get to where you work, but he and actually your wife met on Treasure Island where they lived, but I believe separately. But his advice is never live on Treasure Island. And the one thing I got about that is because of the radioactivity in the soil, sort of one reason.
That's right.
But head of basically like global SDR, global sales development for LinkedIn. And so we've got Brian. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then next, let's bring up Mr. Kyle Porter. Come on up. In from Atlanta. Did you come in yesterday?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I flew up this morning from LA. Also from my guy Dan, if he's here. So Kyle, actually, I'll start with, he's CEO, founder of Sales Loft, which most of you probably know, heard of, and many of you use. At least more than 1,000 customers, very well known. Done a lot to really promote the idea of SDR in the industry. And his fun fact is that he and his wife are now tangerine farmers. And in fact, even cooler than that, bald eagles hunt in that area on the farm, next to a horse farm, too.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome, glad to have you guys. And then lastly, but I don't know, maybe least, I'm not sure. You can be the judge. Armando Mann, originally from Argentina. Yeah. So, come on down. You're not allowed to sit too close because we're all men here. But Armando, his fun fact is that he actually started in Argentina. You hug, right? Armando's fun fact: he started in Argentina cold calling, old school, phone book, phone, notepad. All right, there's no excuse. You got to just do it at that point.
Yep.
And we'll actually, let me relate to a question around. So again, actually, Dan, I don't know if he's probably here someplace. Said this morning, all right, if you can ask one question, how do you get your younger reps to get over their phone fear? Like, well, we got the perfect man here to talk about it. So we have some topics. I want to start it off with a question around technology because, that's sort of like the basis of the conference. So with apps, you guys all run or have run, but you all have internal, I'm not from Atlanta, but I'm moving that way. You have internal prospector teams, and you also have advised or work with them. So you've got some different perspectives. So from technology, in terms of apps, I'm actually curious, what have been some of your, like, the smartest thing you've done and maybe like a big fail in just using technology, period? Mm-hmm. Let's start with Brian.
Yeah, sure. So I would say the smartest thing we've done after failing is really listening to the reps and what they're using. I think there's a temptation initially to decide what your team needs at the leadership level, and then impose those ideas on the rep. Yeah, and then eventually you go out onto the floor and you realize no one's actually doing any of that. And in fact, they've deployed an entirely different portfolio of tools, and that's sort of the secret to their success. So I think that was the big learning, a few years ago, and we've started to really listen to the reps themselves and use their ideas to drive decisions.
Okay. Kyle?
One of the mistakes that we made was early on, I was really scrappy with the business and kind of didn't want to spend a lot of money, and so we delayed on Salesforce.com, we delayed on LinkedIn Premium, but the minute we started using those products, we started to get, it advanced us quickly. So I think in startup land, $1 in the bank is worth less than $1 of revenue because of valuation, the way companies grow. And so, we're taking a shot at this thing. Let's go ahead and do it. And I think that's one of the mistakes we made early on. One of the things that turned out really fortunate for us was we wanted a product that would allow us to do some of the execution of the steps in the sales process. And we couldn't find what we wanted, so we built one. So that kind of led to the second generation of our company, which was a fortunate win as well.